Hi and welcome back to the Cool Kitchen. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a galette des rois. So galette des rois is a pie with a sweet almond filling, and it's usually eaten all the way through January in France, but especially on the 6th of January to celebrate the Epiphany. So for the sweet almond filling, or frangipane as it's called, we're going to need some 200 grams of ground almonds, some butter, sugar and 2 eggs. So we're going to start with the ground almonds in a bowl. I've already gotten rid of the big lumps just by running it through my fingers, and I'm going to add just the powdered sugar, 120 grams of that, and we're just going to whisk that in, just mix it nicely before adding the butter. Now the butter is at room temperature, it's very soft, we've left it out all night, and hopefully that'll make it easier to mix in. So just by using your hands and mixing it in, it makes it a whole lot easier to combine. As you can see, it's pretty well combined, and now we're going to add our eggs. So just breaking up the egg and mixing it in with the rest. So that's our filling sorted, and now we're going to work on the pie crust. So I've got 2 packets of puff pastry. Now I do recommend buying the ones that are already rolled out into a circle, because it's a lot easier, but our supermarket was out today, so we're gonna show you how to do it with this as well, so in case that happens to you too, you'll know how to do it. So we've lined a baking tray with baking powder, and I've preheated my oven at 200 degrees C. Now you really need to use puff pastry for this recipe. No other type of pastry will do, or else it's not a real galette des rois. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and get it into a circle shape. That's the traditional shape, a circle shape that'll fit onto this. And actually, because we're rolling it out ourselves, we can make it just a little bit thicker, and a galette des rois, it has, a nice thick layer of pastry, so that's what we're going to do. By turning the pastry around often while rolling it out, you prevent it from sticking onto the surface, I find, so that's how I tend to do it. So just to know what kind of size our pastry is going to be, I've got this plate that fits quite nicely onto this baking sheet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place this onto the dough that's been rolled out, and just with a sharp knife, just run it all the way around. Take away the excess. It could be used for something else. And then we've got our lovely circle of dough that we're just very gently just going to place on here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is just taking a fork, we're just going to lightly prick the surface of the bottom layer, but only the bottom layer. Then we're going to scoop in our filling, scoop it into the middle, create a nice little mound, and we're going to work it, leaving a good little gap around the sides so that we don't have the filling dripping out while it's baking, because it does move around quite a bit. Okay, so if, like me, you've forgotten one of the essential parts of this, because actually it's a very sociable dessert where people get together and they all eat it together to try and find a little token inside, a little China miniature, and we've actually got a little Shrek miniature that we were going to put in, and I forgot. So if you do forget, just like me, try to put it in before you close the pie, but if you forget it just like me, I've just lifted up a tiny little flap, and I'm just going to place it here around the edge. It's easier to cut the pie if it's around the edge, because then you're less likely to cut into it. So I've got some egg wash here, and I'm going to use that just to run it along the edge. And you could use water, but because we're using the egg wash for the top anyway, we're using that also because it sticks just so much better with egg than with water, because there is such a high fat content in the puff pastry. So then we're just going to lay this disc, second disc, right on top, pressing along the edges, trying to get all the air out. There will be a little air gap whenever it's finished baking, so we're just trying to get as much air out as possible before that. Okay, and now I'm going to show you how to make the traditional decorations for the top of the crown or of the pie. So we're going to use just a small knife and just create these little cuts inwards and about the width of a finger in between them, and just cut in like that, not too much, and that's going to give us a lovely scalloped edge whenever we're finished baking. Another thing that's quite traditional is the just a pattern on top. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw this pattern, but we're going to try and not cut through the layer of dough, just a very tiny scoring on the top. So just the easiest way is to create these lines along the top, and you can make the pattern that you like. Usually there's a crisscross pattern, or you could just look up on Google. You'll find plenty of different patterns that you can play around with, but this is the one that we're going with today just because it's very easy. And as you can see, I'm just cutting just the very top surface and not all the way through. So now just with our egg wash on the top, and we're going to be quite generous with it because we want it to be really nice and shiny and glossy whenever it comes out. Okay, so our oven is warm. It's at 200 degrees C, and the last little thing I'm going to do before I put it into the oven is just putting the slightest little holes in, just to let the steam out. So that's it. And then place this in a hot oven, and we're going to bake it according to the instructions on the puff pastry packet that you bought. So everyone's is going to be slightly different, so just follow the directions on the packet. So it's been about 20 minutes, and I'm just going to take it out of the oven. And here we go. Okay, so that's what it looks like. I'm very happy with it. And it sounds quite hollow, which is what we want. And now what we're going to do is we're going to let it cool down because it's way too hot to eat. But you do want to keep it warm. You want to eat it warm because that's whenever it tastes best. Okay, so this is our finished galette de roi, and it smells amazing. It's still nice and warm, and that's how I suggest that you eat it because it just tastes a lot better. And first of all, let's taste it. Yep. It tastes really good. It's so decadent. I wouldn't suggest eating this if you're on a diet. So, how this is traditionally eaten is everyone gets a slice, and whoever has the, it's called a fève in French, it's a little china charm or token or whatever, gets a crown. So we didn't have a crown, the traditional crown, so we just got this little cracker crown. And you're then king for the day, let's say, you know, you're the king or queen, and it's always a nice little tradition, and kids love it. And I hope you can try it out, and I hope you enjoy it, and see you next time. So while watching this video, you might have heard the odd little grunt or heavy breathing, and I'm going to show you what that was. So this is the person filming, and this is the person making all the little grunts.
Hello.
So yeah, she's fast asleep, and I think she enjoys cooking as well.